The state of New Jersey is offering to pay workers $500 to return to work to try to combat this labor shortage that's going on. What's happening, guys? What's going on YouTube? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. I just grabbed my morning coffee, so I figured we'd knock out a story. Today's story comes to us from the Philly Voice, and it's titled New Jersey Offers $500 Return to Work Incentives to Combat the Labor Shortage Facing Small Businesses. You know, it's funny, I went to a different Dunkin' Donuts this morning to grab my morning coffee, and I noticed there was a sign on a drive-through window as I was going through the drive-through, and the sign said, "We apologize, we're short-staffed. Please be patient. Please don't take it out on our staff. It's not their fault. And if you run out of patience, ask for an application." So I thought that last part was kind of funny. We've talked about this a lot in recent weeks and recent months. Restaurants, the hospitality industry, hotels, the travel industry especially is facing labor shortages. We've seen a lot of companies upping pay and offering signing bonuses. Amazon has upped their pay to $18 per hour and is offering a $3,000 signing bonus. Some McDonald's are offering $1,000 signing bonuses or a free iPhone. Wendy's is offering a $300 signing bonus near me. But people still are not returning to the workforce. So New Jersey's hoping that offering employees an extra $500 on their first paycheck will get people back into the workforce. Here's another interesting thing about this. We'll get into the article in a second, but I believe they're willing to pay, if not the entire salary, I think they'll pay 50% of the worker's salary. So basically, a company can hire somebody and the government's going to pay that person. So you're essentially getting a free worker or free labor. I thought that part of it was interesting. I get that they're trying to help businesses at a time when businesses are struggling or suffering, but you really don't need to incentivize companies to hire people, right? Like almost every business out there is short staffed. So you don't really need to bribe a company to hire somebody. These companies need to hire people anyways. Here's another thing that I thought was kind of interesting about this story. So I did a story recently about how there's a shortage of El Milagro tortillas here in Chicago. Anybody in Chicago, around Chicago, El Milagro is the only tortilla you would ever buy. All other tortillas taste like crap. People love El Milagro, but there's been El Milagro tortilla shortages for pretty much since the beginning of this whole beer cough thing. And recently, employees walked out because they were upset that El Milagro is paying new workers more money than workers who've worked there as long as 40 years, right? You have somebody who's been working at El Milagro for 40 years and maybe they're making $15 an hour or whatever it is. And then a new employee, because they need people, they're upping pay. So a new guy comes in, on his first day, he's making $20 an hour or $23 an hour. And obviously, if you're somebody who's been a loyal employee, who's been working for El Milagro for 40 years, that's going to upset you that you've worked for this company for 40 years and some new guy comes in and is making $5 or $10 more than you from the jump, from day one. And so I kind of think this thing kind of comes off the same way, right? We have frontline workers who've been working for companies for years, who worked through the entire beer cough situation, and they get nothing. They get no reward for coming into work every single day. But some guy who's been sitting on unemployment collecting $50,000 a year, staying at home, not doing anything for the past year and a half. The government's going to give him $500 to come back to work. How is that fair to the guy who worked throughout this entire thing? It kind of reminds me of the incentives for getting the thing. I'm trying to mince my words here so that YouTube doesn't demonetize this video. It kind of reminds me of the people who were upset that eventually the government and even private companies started offering incentives for getting the thing in your arm for the beer cough, right? And a lot of people were upset, right? The more it went on, the more the rewards or the incentives went up. And a lot of people said, how is this fair, right? Like the second the thing in your arm was available, I went out and got it right away. I did my part. I was a good citizen. And here you have some guy who's been dragging his feet for 8 months, and he's only doing it because you're bribing him with $1,000. And he goes out and gets it, and you're going to give him money, but I don't get anything, even though I got it from the very start and quote unquote did the right thing. This whole beer cough situation is making for very strange bedfellows, right? Like you have the left, who historically has challenged things, who's been against the status quo, who've been kind of rebels, and they're all for the government and government mandates and authoritarian dictates and things like that. And, the left historically has hated big pharma, and with good reason. I mean, look, Pfizer just had to pull Chantix off the market because it was causing cancer. Johnson & Johnson recently had to pull a suntan lotion off the market because it was causing cancer. Johnson & Johnson knowingly sold baby powder that caused cancer for, 40 years, 50 years. Um, there's plenty of reasons to hate big pharma, but now the left, can't get big pharma's dick far enough down their throat. And all of that is just weird, right? And then on the right, you have Nicki Minaj and Tucker Carlson are like buddies right now. You have, the right or conservatives who were really unhappy with the NBA last year with, kind of all the social justice things. And now they love the NBA because all these NBA players are refusing the thing in the arm. But there was one more kind of good example of kind of this making for strange bedfellows. What was it? It was now BLM is against the thing in your arm. They say it's racist, and so now you have kind of conservatives and the Tea Party crowd and the Trump crowd, kind of loving BLM for standing up for people's rights. So this has brought a lot of different groups together. I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but this whole thing just kind of made me think of that with people getting upset that some people are being incentivized when they've been, quote unquote, doing the right thing all along. This whole frontline workers thing I think is really stupid. This frontline heroes thing kind of makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Throughout the beer cough situation, we had people like, the cashier at Aldi, they're a hero, they're a frontline hero. We don't treat these people like heroes. The government doesn't give a shit about these people. We pay them $10 an hour. You don't pay heroes $10 an hour. And even our fellow citizens don't treat cashiers and service workers very well. Anybody who's ever worked in a restaurant, worked as a waiter or waitress, worked as a cashier, people scream at you, you get shit on by the general public. And that never stopped, right? So I think I always kind of found it funny that people are like frontline heroes when we pay these people $10 an hour and everybody kind of shits on them. So that thing was always kind of weird to me. I didn't really get the whole frontline heroes thing, but I'm getting off topic again. Let's get into this article. New Jersey offers $500 return to work incentives to combat labor shortages facing small businesses. The program also grants businesses wage reimbursements to hire and train new employees. Unemployed New Jersey residents who head back to work could be eligible to receive $500 bonuses from the state. The New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development rolled out a Return to Earn program on Monday. It pays $500 to people hired by businesses with 100 or fewer employees. The program also is intended to benefit small businesses recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. These employers are eligible for wage reimbursements up to $10,000 if they hire and train workers with skill gaps. The positions must pay at least $15 an hour, and the subsidies will cover half of the employee's wages for 6 months. Workers will get their $500 bonuses added to their first paychecks on top of any incentives offered by their employers. Only full-time employees are eligible. And here's an interesting thing about this policy, right? When Amazon offers a $3,000 signing bonus, I'm pretty sure that's not given right away. I'm pretty sure that's contingent on staying there for 60 days, 3 months, 6 months, something like that. And at the end of that period, you get that money to make sure that people don't take a $3,000 signing bonus and then never come back to work. It's interesting that this gets added to somebody's first paycheck. So you go get a job at a pizza shop, get the 500, work 3 days, get the $500 added onto your paycheck, say see ya, leave, go get another job at the hot dog stand down the road, work 3 days, get your $500 on your first paycheck, leave. I could kind of see this being abused just by the way it's structured. New Jersey allocated $10 million from the American Rescue Plan to fund the program through Governor Phil Murphy, who said there's a potential for expansion if it proves successful. The Murphy administration is committed to doing everything we can to help our workers and businesses overcome the labor challenges of the economic recovery, Department of Labor Commissioner Robert Asaro Angelo said. The pandemic may have put our workers through the ringer, but this administration is prepared with the tools to get every Garden State worker back on track and earning a steady income. Here's another thing that's interesting to me. Most businesses are offering signing bonuses. I don't know if I want to say most, but a lot of businesses, there's no shortage of businesses offering sign-on bonuses that are equal to or substantially greater than this $500. So Is this $500 really going to sway anybody? I suppose maybe it's icing on the cake, right? Like if an employer is already going to give you $1,000 signing bonus and now you can get another 500 to stack on top of it, maybe that's the extra little bump you need to get back to work. But you know, this bonus seems to be less than most bonuses already being offered by companies, and I could see a lot of companies getting rid of their own signing bonus because the government's going to pay one for them. So if you were offering a $300 signing bonus, rather than letting somebody stack this $500 on top of your $300 and get $800, you're just going to get rid of your $300 signing bonus and say, hey, the government's going to give you $500 on your first check. State Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez, whose legislative district represents part of Camden and Gloucester counties, said the worker shortage at small businesses threatens to slow New Jersey's economic recovery from the pandemic. Providing wage replacements will remove the burden of training new employees while also developing the state's talent pool at a time we need it the most, said Cruz Perez, who is also chair of New Jersey's Senate Economic Growth Committee. The state particularly is experiencing labor shortages among bus drivers, trash collectors, and restaurant employees over the past few months. New Jersey's unemployment rate has sat at 7.2% for the last 4 months, according to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Well, that number is down from the pandemic peak of 16.8% in April of 2020. It still remains one of the highest unemployment rates in the country, alongside New York at 7.4%, California at 7.5%, and Nevada at 7.7%. Employers can fill out a form online to receive an application to participate in the program. Workers can register for one-on-one virtual career services online as well. New Jersey is not the only state to dole out return-to-work bonuses. Connecticut is paying $1,000 bonuses to unemployed workers who return to work. The federal pandemic unemployment compensation program, which is part of the CARES Act, expired earlier in September. That program began shortly after the COVID-19 pandemic and initially provided people receiving unemployment benefits with an additional $600 per week. That sum was eventually reduced to $300 per week. I don't think we have comments on this story. Let me know what you guys think about this. Will this be effective in getting people to return to work? Is this a good move? Any other thoughts that you guys have, drop them in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. Thanks for watching as always, and I will catch you guys on the next video.